Yo, welcome to Coffee and Convo. You are now with your man David Young, also known as Lyricist. I hope everybody's having a good day. I know it's been a minute since an episode, but let's hop straight into it. One of my biggest issues, one of my biggest gripes is the individuals that throw around misterminology when dealing with other people, especially when someone disagrees with them. I hate when people categorize somebody as insecure because they don't like, to deal with what the person is saying from a challenging manner. If we disagree, it's okay to disagree. But if you automatically default to that person being insecure or ignorant or stupid or whatever, any name calling that makes you feel empowered, I think is kind of silly. And just to get back to like the insecurity statement, a lot of women would tell a man that he's insecure because he disagrees. If a man is having a conversation with you about something that he believes in, and he tell like, hey, I'm not with this, I don't like that. You can't tell them that they're insecure because they don't like something. That's just not right. And I see it happen more with women than I do men. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to label a woman insecure unless they're really proven to us that they're insecure. But every time a man has a gripe about something and he doesn't agree with something, they're automatically insecure. Like, no, you're talking to me about something, but you go talk to Paul about the same thing. But when Paul tells you that, it's this way and it differs from what I tell you, then you come back, well, Paul has to be right because Paul done this, Paul did that, Paul did this, Paul did that. And then a person like, okay, so why are you asking me my point of view then? Oh, you're just mad because you're insecure. No, it's not I'm mad because I'm insecure. I'm pissed off because you asked me a question and then you double back and you asked someone else. And then you came back to defend that person's point to me. There's no insecurity in there. That's just dismissive and disrespectful. So when that terminology is kicked around as, oh, you're insecure, I tell people that's toxic femininity. And there's some males that may do that shit too. And that's toxic masculinity. But right now, what I'm talking about is the behavior of some of the women. And they wonder why they deal with the struggles of keeping a partner. Because everything that you do is from a toxic point of view. You don't want to have equal conversations with a man. You want a man to recognize your femininity, and then you want them to be quiet. And that's not realistic. You want a man that understands feminism, that supports feminism. But when you're saying, I'm your equal, you're no better than me, and when I talk, you should shut up, that's kind of fucked, don't you think? If it's equal, let it be equal. If it's a partnership, let it be a partnership. But don't ask this person a question. Don't ask your partner a question and then double back and ask somebody else a question that's of the opposite sex, and then say, well, this person said this. So since they said it and they've done this and they've done that, you have to be wrong. Why do I have to automatically be wrong? Why can't we all be right in some way? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But why do you have to argue this person's point of view to me? I'm not asking you to do that. It doesn't make any sense. So that's where it becomes toxic. Because what happened to the partnership? What happened to the growth? What happened to the unity? Now, let's be honest, ladies. If you guys were my partner, one of you guys were my partner, and you came and you talked to me about something, and I go talk to my female friends about that, and their point of view differs from yours, and I come back to you like, since, so-and-so said this, and so-and-so said that, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. They know what they're talking about because A, B, C, and D. How would that make you feel? Negatively charged or positively charged? Do you feel respected in that moment? I only say that because it's a lot of questions floating around. I see it on TikTok. I see it on Instagram. And it's like women are like, why aren't these men approaching me? Why aren't these men, talking to me? Why can't I keep a relationship? Why are these guys getting passports and dipping out of the country and talking to other women? I'm only talking about the women this episode, partially this episode, because it's necessary, because these are the questions that I'm seeing, but I'm looking at the behavior. Now it's this whole thing, hate the passport bros. The people that are passport bros can't handle the women in this country, so they go over and get the poor woman. Do you guys realize that these women are poor? The assumption that they're poor, that's the problem. Assuming too much and not understanding, not taking personal accountability and not understanding what leads to what. Men are simple, very simple. We want partnerships just like women do. And at the end of the day, I think that men are nicer than women. We would literally have a conversation with a person and not too much care for them. We'll give them the floor and be respectful to them. Not all women do that. They're catty, they're angry, they don't want to talk to you, they dismiss you. Because the point of view is different. They see you as the opposition. Men only get to that point to where it is, we see the other man as an opposition when he's challenging our position. Be careful who you allow to challenge your man's positioning. You want to keep your man? Respect your man. You want to keep your man? Support your man. I'm not saying be submissive. I said be supportive. It's a difference. If you make a decision together, you make a decision together. If you're going to ride for each other, you're going to ride for each other. But also, you got to know this. Like you want to be respected as a woman, you have to respect that man as a man. And that's where a lot of women are getting away from. They don't want to respect the man as a man. They don't want to let the man be the man. They want to be the man too. If they want that, these men will be with other men. We want strong, feminine women. We don't want the alternatives. We want a strong, smart, beautiful, feminine woman. Now somebody here is like, oh, he just want me to stay in my place. His definition of feminine is submissive. No, my definition of feminine is somebody that cares, that has a nurturing energy about them. I think some of these women are forgetting the beauty and the elegance of being a woman. You guys do something that we cannot do, and that's bear children. So the partnership to us of finding a right person to bear children with, it means a lot to us. While you bear those children, and you can't do certain things, we got to make up for what you cannot do. And that's not a negative to us. That's a positive. We look forward to every single moment. At least the individuals that stick around and want to be a part of it. So the reason why it's getting harder and harder for women to find men, and the marital rates are going down, along with the actual rates of reproduction is starting to go down. But guess what's high as shit? The suicide rate for men after being in relationships. Do anybody want to talk about that? I don't think anybody wants to talk about it because it makes people uncomfortable. Oh yeah, I know this is the first episode in a while for this new season, and he's coming out the gate like this. Yes, I'm coming out the gate like this because it's absolutely necessary. I've sat back, I've watched, I've listened to a lot of things. I've jumped into some of these, these live debates on TikTok and seen some of the things that's being said by women about black men. Oh man, that's a whole nother conversation. I just want to focus on the mindset of women in general right now when it comes to dating men. This lady on TikTok, she asked, why aren't men approaching me anymore? Where are the men at? Do you know a lot of men are finding comfort in just staying in their homes? Do you know a lot of men are just finding comfort in staying in their homes and going to work and going home and have all that time to themselves? It don't matter if they're fucking masturbating. It don't fucking matter if they're playing their video games. They are controlling their time. And they are controlling who they allow in their lives because it's less stress. You want a man that's going to fight for you and be a part of the chase, that's great. But at the end of the day, when the chase is over, is he really going to have that shot? Well, I just seen another video yesterday where this guy, he went over the fucking moon to get a date, a coffee date at that. And he got stood up. And that person that stood him up, he seen them again at a coffee shop. But while he seen them at the coffee shop, he was watching TikTok and seen their video and they were talking about how they got stood up. That was karma going around full circle. She stood him up, ghosted him, just for her to be stood up and ghosted. A lot of guys aren't playing these games. They're not. I can talk from a male point of view because since a lot of women are asking these questions of where are the men at or why aren't they approaching me anymore? Because at the end of the day, they don't know what game you're going to be. They don't know what to do because they don't want to be stood up. They don't want to waste their time. They don't want to blow hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars entertaining you, courting you, and you just drop them. Yeah, there's some guys that's out there that play the game just to get the panties. But guess what? They ain't spending that type of money. If you got a guy that's taking you to a fancy restaurant and, doing different activities for you, and it seems to be well thought out, I think you should look at the type of date that you're going on and how well thought out it is and actually examine everything that's being said at that dinner table. Like, wow, this guy's actually he planned this. When you get somebody that's a planner for a date, do you know how rare that shit is? That means that he is dating with a purpose. If he's planning the date, he's dating with a purpose. But if you're forced to choose everywhere and do everything and, there's no real energy going to it, he just wants to fuck. That's it. That's it. I'm not dropping no gems here. This is just normal shit. This is normal stuff. If he ain't putting no energy and planning a process of what happens on the date, and he's just letting you just choose the spot, and you guys try to go to that spot, his goal at the end of that conversation, at the end of that date, is to fuck. That is it. I've been nice on these podcasts. I've been giving a lot of tips. I've been giving a lot of information. And I've been kind of like pulling back from being as honest, and direct as I know how to be, because I don't want to be too strong. I want to make sure that when you guys get this information that you understand that it's coming from a good place. But a lot of people, they hear shit and just brush it off. That's why I said, you know what, I'm going to just start giving it straight this season moving forward. Because, at the end of the day, I've been doing podcasting for a long time. I've been in this business for a long time. And I understand what works and I understand what doesn't work. And if I had to be 100% honest about the information that I've given, I think that it has helped some people. And I think that it has made some changes in some people's lives. And I thank anybody that takes the time out to listen to my podcast. Because this is, 15 to 30 minutes of me talking about a topic and, giving my energy to that topic. I just hope that when whoever hears this podcast, you pull something from this. Ladies, you got to understand the questions that you've been asking is, where is the men? They're there. They're just being careful about how they approach the situation. They're being careful about how they do certain things. They don't want to be perceived as anything, other than somebody that's trying to, court the right person for themselves. Men want to find the right person too. It's just not women that's just hopeless romantics. You may have gotten that from a movie, but it's not just, the women that are hopeless romantics. Excuse me a moment. Yeah, my office here, so I figure doing the podcast from my office, I want to make sure everything stays quiet. So, yeah, it's just not the women that's just the hopeless romantics. It is also the men. There are some men that's just like that. They just want to love. They yearn for that love as well, that partnership. And like the last thing they want to do is run into a person that's always questioning them, always challenging their masculinity. I've never had, oh man, I tell you, when people just challenge your masculinity just because they can, because they've watched these videos and they feel like a masculine man is a negative thing, I don't understand how did that ever become a bad thing? Why is it so bad for a man to be a man? Not everybody's Andrew Tate. And I don't think everything that Andrew Tate say is bad. The way he may have delivered is not the greatest, but I don't think everything he has to say is bad. There's nothing wrong with a masculine man. A man that's comfortable in his masculinity, that likes to take care of himself. That's a go-getter. That's goal-driven. There's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of women look at that as, oh, that's not attractive. He wants control. He wants submission. Well, at the end of the day, both sides are going to have to submit at some point. There's some level of submission on both sides. So the complete thought of, there's not going to be something you have to give up in the relationship, that's silly to me. Both sides are giving up something. Let's remove feminism or masculinity from the table. You're both giving up something in a partnership. When you unite, there's certain things that both sides cannot do. Especially if you want that relationship to work. There's some things about that individual that you may not like, you bring it to their attention, they're going to have to make some alterations to it. And vice versa. When they bring you something that they don't like, you should have to make some alterations or talk about it. Conversation fixes all. Dialogue fixes all. An open mouth feeds an open mind. So you have to be open to learning those things. You have to be open to accepting criticism. Don't retreat to, well, since you're uncomfortable with this, you're really insecure. You're really insecure because you're uncomfortable with this. And I've been this way and I've been doing these things forever. Why do I have to be insecure? See, when you start throwing a label of insecurity out there, you better be careful, because at the end of the day, you may have a person that deep dives into some insecurities that they never thought was necessary. Like having to check your Snapchat. Like having to check your conversations on Facebook or your text messages. You want to talk about insecurity, don't breed insecurity into your relationship. Because guess what? You're opening up doors at that point. Don't just go calling someone insecure. Because then they might, I wonder why this person's calling me insecure. Should I be worried about something? Then they actually become insecure. If they try to talk to you about an issue, what could be a minor issue at that moment, don't retreat to just calling them insecure. Because you don't know what type of portal or gateway you just open into your own relationship or situation. This is one of the main reasons why I won't rush back into marriage. I commend my partner, but I'm not going to rush into a marriage, because at the end of the day, it has to be about understanding. If we still having these hurdles and conversations and battles about security and insecurities, then we're not ready for a lifetime with each other, because insecurities may exist. And it's okay to admit that. Just because someone challenges your point of view doesn't mean that they're insecure. You have to see actions in insecurity as well. If they're not acting on that and there's just a debate or a discussion or a difference of opinion, and this person said that they don't like something for this reason, that reason, this reason, that reason, it doesn't mean that they're automatically insecure. That's what their brain is processing in that moment. For them, it just doesn't work. Ask them why it doesn't work for them and what could be done to make things better. A lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to ask the questions because they feel like, I shouldn't have to ask that question. They should just be fine with it. No, they should not. They should not just be fine with it because you say so. It's fucking stupid. It's okay to have dialogue. It's okay to be okay with dialogue. But the moment you start writing off on your pad, well, he was insecure about this, and I told him he was wrong, but he didn't understand why he was wrong. And by him being wrong, he just has to accept that he's wrong. See, you see what's happening there? People will go from gaslighting you to gaslighting themselves, and don't realize they're doing it. You don't have to gaslight to make yourself feel better about a situation. It's okay. I understand this is what you believe to be the case, but this is not the case because, at the end of the day, you're dealing with some insecurities and you don't see that you're insecure, but, I can tell that you're insecure. It's fine. I'm here to help you any way I can. I just want you to understand that, in those insecurities that, that things will be fine. You got help here. That's gaslighting. You're trying to make a person feel like they're going crazy. You're trying to make them feel like their point of view is not a rational point of view. People will always see things differently from you. People will always see things in a different way, in a different light. But to make them feel bad about it, that's crazy. Label them as, oh, insecure or childish or ignorant or whatever. Lose the labels. Actually dissect the situation and get to the bottom of it. There's two topics that I want to talk on, and they intertwine. And whether it's the women not understanding why the men don't want to deal with certain things anymore, and when they realize they don't want to deal with it, they automatically label it as insecure. It's not insecure. It's just like, if you don't have time to be stressed out, why would you allow yourself to be stressed out? Why? Why would you put yourself in the predicament to where it is you're stressed the hell out or something you don't have to be stressed out? It's supposed to make you happy. Be supportive of the individual if he doesn't understand something. Don't label him as insecure. A lot of these men don't want to date anymore because they don't want to deal with the extra bullshit. And the extra bullshit is spending money just to get ghosted anyway. That is the reputation that women have now. You spend money, get ghosted. How would you guys feel if you had to go half on a date? Oh, we already know the answer to that. I'm not doing it. I wouldn't be there. It's not happening. See, you guys want traditional men, but you don't want to be traditional women. You want men to date you or approach you in a traditional manner, but you refuse to be traditional. You're looking for the guys with 6 figures, 6 packs, and 6 inches or more. That's what you're looking for. Oh, and they possibly got to be 6 feet tall too, right? That's what you ladies are looking for. You want your knight in shiny armor. But at the end of the day, it's like we want for our partner to be somebody that's supportive, understanding, willing to listen, willing to work with us. Trust their decision when it's time for something important to be taken care of. Loyalty. I'm not going to be loyal to a person that's on Instagram or TikTok over-sexualizing themselves. I tell guys, know this. When you start disappearing from your partner's social media, because unfortunately social media is so important to people nowadays, when you start disappearing and there's less and less pictures of you and your partner on there, you better start looking into some shit. And somebody was like, oh, there we go. That's that insecurity. No, you can be beautiful alone. Yeah, absolutely. But when you have a partnership, when you're with someone, when you're in a relationship, when it goes from you guys taking all these pictures together to being together to it just being you on there, something wrong. Something is wrong, and you know something's wrong. Somebody's up in them DM. Somebody's up in those DMs. Because they don't want to advertise you no more. They don't want you to be seen on their platforms anymore. Because they're getting attention somewhere. That ain't insecurity, that's facts. Don't get me started on Snapchat. I literally did a TikTok saying that if you are a person that has a Snapchat, there's a 90% chance that you cannot be trusted. That is a huge percentage because when you have the ability to hide your behavior, it make you want to do something you ain't got no business doing. I'm an open book. My girl got access to all my shit. But at the end of the day, I'm not asking her for access to none of her shit. Whatever she doing, she gonna do it. I can't change that. And trying to change it is foolish. That is just a level of ignorance that'll blow up in your face. You can't change that shit. You gotta rock with it. It is what it is. But once you find out, it's up to you to decide how you're gonna handle it. If you gonna be a part of that or not. So you guys want these partners, you gotta be, if you want to be traditional, be traditional. If you want to be moderate, be moderate. But you got to understand, both sides comes with a level of sacrifice. Both sides. You may be moderate and end up alone. That's just the way it works. And you better be able to rock with it. You may have to be, if you want to be traditional, it may be some things that you're going to have to give up. If you want that traditional partner. Because guess what? That traditional partner understands the culture, the responsibility. They have their shit in order. Don't look for traditional if you don't like organization. Don't look for traditional if you don't like direction. Don't look for traditional if you don't want, leadership. That's why a lot of these women, they rather go left. They rather be more, I'm a feminist. I don't need a man to do for me. I want a man in my life. I don't need a man in my life. And that's great. So maybe you should see what it's like to be alone. Because at the end of the day, you setting yourself up to run into those people that's going to make you go from a regular feminist to a toxic feminist. You setting yourself up to deal with those men that's just going to just fucking and dip and be gone. Because nobody's going to stick around with the person that likes to challenge everything. At the end of the day, a man wants to be a man. He's not looking for you to be silent. He's looking for you to counsel. Be a part of his counsel. Be able to have a discussion with him and figure things out. Not exclude him. Not tell him, well, I'm doing this because it's what works for me. I don't need you. That's the problem. It's too much I don't need you out here. Not, I appreciate you being here. You can say, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you. But this is a decision that I want to make alone. And guess what? A real man, I understand that. I stand behind that. You got to feel good in this. You got to feel gratified when it's all said and done. But if it's a decision that involves a man being a man, like buying a house, building shit, and putting stuff together and keeping stuff together, you let that man be a man. You let him lead. You work with him, not against him. Leadership doesn't mean you have to give up everything. Leadership is understanding that, okay, there's some situations in life that I can't take the lead on this. I want to see how he's going to handle it. Do you know those successful relationships is with those women that allow their men to be men? Trust me, when you come to a table and you ask your husband or you speak to your husband, your boyfriend, be like, hey, I was thinking about doing this. It's a big investment. It's this, it's that, it's this. He'd be like, okay, cool. Let's look into it more. Let's work this out. Let's figure it out. But if it doesn't work, let's move in a different direction. That is how a man be a man. You bring the information to him because it's your partnership. And also, you trust that individual. And if you trust that individual, you're like, okay, cool. Well, let's look into this together. Let's see how we can improve it. Let's make this work. There's nothing toxic about that. There's nothing controlling about that. You should want to have those moments with your partner. And if your partner's like, hey, I'm not with that. I don't think it's a good idea. Ask them why it's not a good idea. Trust them. And if it happens to fall apart, and they'll see that, damn, well, maybe I was wrong. My apologies. Next time you come to me with something like this, I'll make sure, we look into it and at least try it out. it should be a space where it is that individual is allowed to make those decisions. Especially because a man has a responsibility of providing and keeping a home together. And I personally believe that it is a woman's, responsibility to strengthen that home, make that home. No home is a home without a woman in it, especially when there's children involved. The responsibility of being a woman is very, very high. It's not easy. A man could go in a woman's home and tell her how to be a woman. You tell that woman how to change things, to decorate this, to do that. No, that's not your job. Not that a man can't do it, but it ain't your job to go in there and tell a woman how to be a woman. It ain't your job how the hell we look going into the damn, OR, telling her, how to deliver her baby. Even before the OR. How to carry the baby, what to do and what not to do. You can't tell a woman how to be a woman. So you support her and listen to her. That's for the men that's listening to this and just thinking that, I'm only just dogging women out today. No, I want you to understand. Your place as a man is to make sure when it's time for her to go down and she can't work no more, you cover that cost. You provide for her whatever she wants to eat while she carry yours. You better make sure it's there. And when she bring yours into this world, you better make sure whatever she want to feast on at that moment is there. I don't give a fuck if it's $1,000, seafood dinner. You better make it happen. I know you only make $15 an hour, but guess what? Take out a loan. Make sure whatever the fuck she wants in that moment for bringing that life in this world and going through that pain for you and yours, you make sure you do what you're supposed to do. Partnership is important on both sides. You guys got to respect each other. None of this toxic femininity bullshit. None of this toxic masculinity bullshit. If it's going to be a partnership, let it be a partnership. But you got to choose whether you want it to be modern or traditional. That's all I got to say. I thank you guys for tuning into this podcast and to the next episode. Thank you for rocking with me on Coffee and Convo. I appreciate you guys. Peace. Ironic.